Every workout you finish makes you weaker. Most people think progress is built in the gym, on the track, during the final rep. They are wrong. This is a truth so counterintuitive that brilliant, dedicated athletes destroy their own careers by ignoring it. The drive to push harder and the wisdom to pull back are in constant violent opposition, and both sides have a point. Where do you stand? By the end of this, your answer might get complicated. The argument for more is seductive. It's the story we tell ourselves about success in any field. The person who works more, studies more, practices more, wins. Our culture worships volume. We celebrate the person who gets up at 4 in the morning to run before a 12-hour workday. We see calloused hands as a badge of honor. In fitness, this translates to a simple, powerful equation. More work equals more results. You want to run a faster marathon? Run more miles. You want to lift heavier? Add more plates, more sets, more days in the gym. This is the logic of linear progression. It feels right, it feels earned. This mindset frames rest as weakness. A day off is a day you fell behind. Soreness is just a signal to push harder. The body is seen as an adversary to be conquered, a lazy beast that must be whipped into shape. The voice of fatigue is just your mind trying to quit before your body is truly done. This philosophy has created champions. It's the fire that forges resilience. Pushing past perceived limits expands those limits. The human body is a miraculous adaptation machine. If you consistently demand more from it, it will consistently find a way to give it to you. Every personal best you've ever hit came from a place of uncomfortable effort. That discomfort was the price of admission for growth. To stop there, to pull back when things get hard, feels like a betrayal of your own potential. That sounds convincing. A hero's journey played out in sweat and iron, but there is a hidden variable in that equation. The body is an adaptation machine, but adaptation is a process that requires resources, and it happens while you rest. The workout itself is just the signal, the stimulus. It's a catabolic event. You are actively breaking down muscle tissue, depleting energy stores, and stressing your nervous system. The growth, the anabolic rebound, happens afterward. It happens while you sleep, while you eat, while you live your life outside the gym. Your body doesn't get stronger during the final rep. It gets stronger in the 24 to 48 hours that follow as it repairs the damage and overcompensates, making itself slightly more resilient for the next time it faces that same stress. Imagine you are building a brick wall. Each workout is a new layer of bricks, but after you lay a layer, you must wait for the mortar to dry. Recovery is the mortar drying. If you immediately stack another layer of bricks on wet mortar, the wall becomes unstable. Add another and another. Soon the entire structure sags and collapses. This is overtraining. It's the relentless application of stress without sufficient time for the mortar of recovery to set. You are adding stimulus on top of an under-recovered system. You are digging a hole that gets deeper with every workout. And yet, the other side has its own blind spot. If rest is so important, why do elite athletes train with such mind-bending volume? Professional marathoners run over 100 miles a week. Tour de France cyclists spend 6 hours a day in the saddle for 3 straight weeks. Their volume is exponentially higher than any amateur. The difference is that their entire life is architected around recovery. They have professional chefs dialing in their nutrition to the gram. They have sleep coaches, they get massages and physical therapy daily. Their training is also periodized. It's a carefully planned wave of stress and recovery, with high-volume blocks followed by deliberate drastic reductions in training called deloads or tapers. Their more is an intelligent, structured more. The amateur athlete often copies the volume without copying the recovery architecture. You see the pro's brutal workout on social media and try to replicate it after a poor night's sleep and a stressful day at work, fueled by a hastily eaten lunch. You are borrowing their stress, but you have access to none of their recovery tools. You are paying a physiological price you cannot afford. This creates a state of chronic, low-grade exhaustion. Your performance plateaus, then it starts to decline. The same weights feel heavier. The same running pace feels harder. You're confused. The formula has always been more work equals more results. So, you double down. You add another workout. You cut your rest periods. You push harder convinced that willpower is the solution. This is the spiral. You're now actively making yourself worse, but you can't see it. Why? because the metrics you track are lagging indicators. Your heart rate variability drops, your sleep quality plummets, your resting heart rate creeps up, your mood darkens, you become irritable, prone to getting sick. Your body is screaming at you with a dozen different biological signals. But the one number you care about, the weight on the bar, the time on the clock, is the last to fall. So you keep pushing, chasing a ghost. You've become addicted to the feeling of effort, mistaking the fatigue of overreaching for the satisfying ache of productive work. The soreness feels like progress. It is the opposite. This leads to the most insidious stage of overtraining syndrome. It's a full-blown multi-system failure. Your endocrine system is in chaos. Chronic high levels of the stress hormone cortisol begin to suppress testosterone and human growth hormone. You've shut down the very machinery of repair and growth. Your central nervous system is fatigued, leading to a loss of coordination, power, and motivation. You feel tired, but you can't sleep. You feel hungry, but have no appetite. You have entered a state of profound biological depression. You are now significantly weaker, slower, and less healthy than when you were training half as much. Your dedication has destroyed its own objective. The cure has become the poison. But the trap is deeper than just physiology. It's psychology. For many, fitness is a source of control and identity in a chaotic world. Completing a workout is a clear, unambiguous win. The fitness app gives you a checkmark. A notification congratulates you. You get a dopamine hit. It's a predictable source of accomplishment. When life feels out of control, at work, in relationships, the gym is a sanctuary where effort is directly proportional to reward, or so it seems. Missing a workout feels like a failure of character. It's a crack in the identity of being a runner, a lifter, a disciplined person. So you train when you're sick. You train when you're injured. You train when you're exhausted. You aren't just chasing a physical goal. You are defending an image of yourself. The training log becomes a record of your virtue. Every empty day is a mark of shame. This is when the line between healthy discipline and obsessive compulsion blurs. The activity that once brought you joy and vitality now brings you anxiety and fatigue. It has become a cage you built for yourself, one rep at a time. The problem is that the mindset that gets you from the couch to your first 5-kilometer race is a different mindset than the one that gets you from a good athlete to a great one. The first stage requires brute force and consistency. The second requires nuance, wisdom, and the courage to do less. It requires trusting that growth happens in the quiet moments you can't measure. Even if you recognize all this, the practical application is terrifying. To consciously choose to train less when your performance is stalling feels like giving up. It feels like surrender. It takes immense confidence to step back, to deload, to take a week completely off, trusting that you will come back stronger. It feels like you're letting your competitors get ahead. The irony is that your competitor might be resting too, and they will blow past you when you're both back on the field, because their body has rebuilt itself while yours was busy digging a deeper hole. The race is often won by the person who is bravest during their recovery, not the one who is most brutal during their workout. The return on investment for training follows a curve. In the beginning, the curve is steep. Every workout produces a noticeable return. You get stronger every week. Then, as you become more advanced, the curve begins to flatten. It takes more and more work to produce smaller and smaller gains. This is the law of diminishing returns, but eventually for those who push too far, the curve inverts. More training input results in negative performance output. You are now paying to get worse. This is the region where most driven amateurs live, perpetually confused, perpetually exhausted, wondering why their dedication is no longer paying off. They're at the peak of the curve, pouring more effort in and sliding down the other side. So, where is the line? How do you know if you are pushing productively or digging a grave? The answer is brutally individual. It depends on your genetics, your age, your sleep, your nutrition, your life stress outside the gym. There is no universal formula. The only way to know is to become a student of your own biology. It requires a shift from an external, validation-seeking mindset to an internal, intuitive one. It requires tracking your mood, your energy, your sleep quality, and your motivation with the same diligence you track your miles and your kilograms. It requires seeing a week of poor sleep and high stress as a mandatory signal to reduce training volume, not as a challenge to push through. The ultimate tension is this: the relentless drive to exceed your limits is what sparks initial greatness. But the wisdom to respect those limits is what sustains it. One is an engine, the other is a braking system. A car with only an accelerator is destined to crash. A car with only brakes never leaves the garage. Mastery is learning to use both. It's the art of knowing when to floor it, and the much harder art of knowing when to coast. So what about you? Look at your own relationship with effort and exhaustion. Are your workouts building you up, or are they just a tax you pay to maintain an identity? When you feel tired, do you see it as a request for rest or an invitation to fight? Where do you draw the line between discipline and damage?